All right. Welcome to a new episode of PhD the Philosophical Drama. I'm Shweta and today we are going to talk to Dr. Ibrahim Saliu. Ibrahim did his PhD from Federal University of Technology, Akure from Nigeria, and he's currently doing his postdoc at the Washington University School of Medicine in the USA. So let's call Ibrahim over and talk about his journey of academia and more. Hi, Ibrahim. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. Let's talk about your life back in Nigeria. How did you navigate towards a research field?
Okay, so the system of education of Nigeria, I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but it's quite different from that of the US. We have the elementary school, we have the middle school, and we have the high school as well. So after high school, then you get to go to university, where people call colleges. But in Nigeria, we don't use it. We don't use college, the word college. We use university.
Okay.
So when you gain admission to the university, then you applied for the course of your choice, which I applied as a biochemistry to be a biochemist. So I entered into the biochemistry, and the school I went to, which is the Federal University of Technology.
Ouch.
Of the course you are studying is 5 years, except probably some school that has medicine and surgery.
Just a minute. I'm not sure if there was a lag in your internet connection. Then can you go back to when you started from your university? I think there was, yeah.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Is it clear now? Is it clear?
It's clear now. You can tell us from when you started your university.
So I gained admission to study biochemistry as a course, and my university, which is the Federal University of Technology, Akure, it's a 5-year course. Biochemistry is 5 years course.
Okay.
So it started 400 level, 200 level, 300, 400, then a 500 level. You'll be posted to, you'll be given a mentor for your thesis. I mean, for your dissertation, rather, or thesis. Yeah. So, and the project, I worked on this project, which is a liver disease then. It's a liver dysfunction disease. We induce liver disease in rats, animal models. Then we use a medicinal plant. We get a concoction from a medicinal plant and treat the liver disease with medicine, with this extract. So at the end of the day, it was such that because my supervisor that I had then, we were like 8 or thereabout I was supervising at the time. So and then the work went on for like 3-4 months. So at the end of the day, he wanted to start another project, which is on ischemic stroke.
Okay.
The stroke of the brain. So he needed students which could, if he needed a student that could volunteer to, do that project with him. So he chose me and a friend of mine then to do the work with him. So in the course of doing the work, I enjoyed the project. So such that after I graduated and I finished and everything, I contacted him and told him that I would like to go more deeper into studying this ischemic stroke in animal models. So he accepted, and he accepted to be my mentor for my master's degree because of my curiosity and because I was so much interested in the subject, in the research. So he agreed to supervise me, and then that was when I started the real research about about the brain, but on the biochemical side of it. So I entered for my master's and during my thesis, so it was what I studied. I studied is chemistry. So I so much enjoyed it, working on stroke, working on animal, doing surgery on animal brain, you include this and everything. It was I was so interested, and the project was very, very interesting to me. And it made me to have a broader perspective about research on the brain. And then I got to know that many of the brain disease, neurodegenerative diseases, stroke itself, does not have a cure.
Right.
So it's just, you just manage it. So I was curious to know why are these diseases of the brain, why didn't they have a cure? And probably it's a lagging, it's a lag kind of where researcher does not go beyond a certain stage. Maybe that is why we don't have a cure. So I was so curious to know why, and also curious to know if I can, in a kind of way, get if I could probably get a cure kind of to the diseases that doesn't have a cure. So that was what piqued my interest.
Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting story, which means that your curiosity is something that led you to into research. So how did PhD happen after that? How did you navigate towards a PhD from your master's?
So after my master's and everything, towards the end of my master's degree, I had this unsatisfied curiosity again that, mere doing research dissertation on this stroke does not give me a wider perspective, a broader perspective about this stroke. So I said to myself, I needed to do a deep research. I needed to go in depth and do an in-depth research about this stroke and about various medicinal plants that are available, because back in the days in Africa and in Nigeria, where there are no doctors or technological advancement like this, our forefathers uses something to treat this ailment. So if they could use natural products to treat this ailment, there are something that these natural products, such as medicinal plant, there are things that they contain that could help us treat it. But because of because there is no technology advancement, and our forefathers, they don't have the education, so they could not do the research and extract out what is the real ingredient that is what's the real ingredient that can cure this particular disease. So I chose medicinal plants, and I need to go in depth and extract a compound out that could treat this disease. So that was the interest that I had, and it was not satisfied with the 2-year masters that I had, because it was so limited. So if I had to do in-depth research, I need to go deep more. So that was what made me to say, oh no, I need to go deeper. And then I started my PhD.
So how does the PhD applications process function back in Nigeria? Do you have like entrances or interviews? How do you actually get started with it?
So the PhD entrance in Nigeria is institution based. Like it depends on the university. It depends on the rules and regulations of the university that you want to attend. For some schools, they write entrance exam for a PhD. For some schools, they don't. For some schools, if probably you want to change your field from one research field to another research field, you have to do exam. For some, it doesn't require, but for university where I went to, because I went to the Federal University of Technology, Akure, I did my BTech, I did my master's, and that was the place I did my PhD as well. So it was there, you don't need to write an entrance exam. if you want to continue with your
In the same.
PhD.
All right.
So, but the most important thing that you have to decide is your supervisor. So you have to decide who you want to supervise you. So you have to decide yourself, because supervisors matters a lot on your PhD pursuit. Because if you choose a supervisor that is not encouraging, or a supervisor that will not give listening here to your supervisor that will not help you, you can spend as much as 10, 12 years in your PhD.
Okay.
So you have to be careful on the supervisor you choose. So I chose the supervisor that supervised my BTech and my MTech. So I already knew him. So the rapport was there. The friendship was there. So I chose him, and it was agreed. He agreed to supervise me. So so after that, after you get a supervisor, then you apply.
Okay.
You can't apply without a supervisor, because if you apply without a supervisor, the department that you're applying to can give you any supervisor, and it may not be the area that you are the area of your interest.
Okay.
You get, so you have to, if you really want to do something meaningful and something that you want to do, I mean your research interest, you have to research out those faculty in that particular department and see the ones that do research in your area, in the area you wanted to go to, in the area you want to go to. So you have to research that, and after that, you contact them and ask if you can apply, and then you want him or her to supervise you. So after that, after the person agrees, then you can apply. So when you apply, so I think this is what they do anyway. When you apply, I think there will be a roundtable discussion within the faculty members of that particular department. So during that roundtable, they check out the applications, the people that meet the requirement, the people that does not meet. So they will have to sieve out the people that meet and the people that does not meet the requirement. Then those that meet the requirement, so the supervisor that has agreed to take you, if he sees your name there, so the supervisor will now say, oh, this is the person, I know this person, I want to supervise this person, and all that. So that's how you get that. So after that, they collate the names of those people to be given admission. Then the names are out. Then you come and do the registrations, and then you start the project. Yeah.
Okay. Are there funding issues back in Nigeria? Because I did my PhD from India, and I'm very well aware that a lot of students have, they have funding, as in they have some place where they are supposed to get their funding from, but then it is stalled. Like for 2-3 months, they do not get any money, and sometimes they get money after 6 months or 8 months. Does Nigeria have these kind of issues? Like how do you go about those problems, if you do?
Yeah. So if I can say one problem that has kept Africans generally backward in research, it's grants. It's the issue of grants.
Yeah.
So it's the issue of funding and all that. So in Nigeria, 80% of people doing PhD are not funded. They are self-funded. 80% of people that are doing PhD, I can even say 90% of people doing PhD in Nigeria, they are self-funded. There is no external funding. So the government in Nigeria does not invest so much in funding PhD research. So many of the funding that are available are from outside the country. For instance, when I was doing my PhD, the second year of my PhD, I was able to get funding, not from the Nigerian government, but from outside funding. I got the funding from the government of Italy and the government of India, which is the TWAS DBT. So that gave me the opportunity to come to India to do part of my PhD research. But generally in Nigeria, we have problems of funding. The government doesn't fund PhD research. So it's self-funded, and people, PhD research takes so much of money.
Yeah.
There was a time I intended to drop out, if not because I saw I got the funding from TWAS. I wanted to, back out. I wanted to go out because of the fund. I don't have that fund to do a PhD research. You have to, it requires a lot of money. So, but aside external funding from other countries, from other places, it's very, very hard. There are some institutions that fund PhD in Nigeria, but they are so minute. They are not so much. So like 80%, 90 or 80% are self-funded. Yeah. So
Okay.
the problem is there. The problem is there.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Does the politics or the government policies also affect? I'm sure they do affect research in general. Like you just said that PhDs are usually self-funded. But what about a project? Does the government also have major effect on fundings that are received for the ongoing projects?
Yeah. So government of Nigeria, I can speak of Nigeria. The government of Nigeria, they have the projects they want to do. So if they are interested in a certain project, they fund it.
Okay.
They'll fund it. There are bodies in Nigeria that is government owned that funds projects. Just that you have to submit a proposal as a PI. If you are faculty, you have to write a proposal. Then you have to write. You have to submit. Then there are competitions too when it comes to that. But I feel the funding is not that much, even for projects. The funding is not that much because we have a lot of PIs, a lot of faculty in Nigeria, applying for a single funding for a project. So it's highly competitive, very, very highly competitive. And for an upcoming PI, someone that's just coming up, it's almost impossible for you to get. It's almost impossible for you to get. The only way you can get funding for your projects as a PI is probably when there are big researchers, there are big people, there are big professors, there are researchers that the government recognizes. Okay. So the only thing is for you to just incorporate their names in your proposals and all that. So that one can give you some leverage.
Okay.
So that one could give you some leverage. But aside that, it's very, very difficult, almost impossible for an upcoming PI to get funding, even for projects.
So in that case, do the new PIs apply for private funding or funding from other countries? How does that work?
So that is either you apply for funding from other countries, or you use your money, or you depend on the resources that the department can afford. So that is why many of the research don't get published in these high impact factor journals, because all this technology require a lot of money. So the departments cannot provide that kind of resources for you. So it's very difficult. You're only left with doing others small experiment, little experiment that you can afford to do. So aside the external funding, or if you get the big government funding, like I said before, I mean, you just flow with the rhythm of not doing much research. Yeah.
Okay. So you said that you were in the second year of your PhD. You came to India via the TWS program, the DBT TWS program. How did that happen? So how did you actually find that there is something like that available? And was it your mentor or someone like that suggested applying for it? And then how did you actually transition into that?
So like I said before, that for you to be successful in your PhD, you have to have a good supervisor that is really, really interested in your development, supervisor that is ready to mentor you very well. And because I did not have an idea about this external funding, so my supervisor called me one time and he said, these fundings are out. You can check it online, try it if you can apply, do it, and make sure you do it very fast. So I went, immediately I went, got out of his office and went to my laptop, then, browse and then do my research. And I got this tours too, and I saw various programs in which they are interested to fund. So, and I saw different institutions from different countries with different requirements and all that. So I checked because I was so much interested in the brain. So all what was in my mind was, I need to go to a place that they have this big brain research, big research institute that it's only on brain. So I checked through all the programs, and I found out that the one I could apply for is the one in India, which is the National Brain Research Center, which it's the major research they do there is the brain. So I thought to myself, so I need to apply for this, but there are different things you need to do before you can apply. You have to get the consent of someone from the institute that is going to supervise you.
Okay.
So after getting the consent, the person has to give you a letter that he or she has consented that you can apply, and your work is okay and all that. You are, the technology is there, the expertise is there, and all that. So after the person has consented, the person gives you the letter. Then there are other letters that you have to get, like the recommendation letters and all that. Then there are some other things that you need to do. Then you submit your applications. Then you wait for like 6 months. Then after 6 months, then the names will be shortlisted and all. So I contacted the person that supervised, not the person that supervised, and I contacted the director of the institute that this is so. I wrote a cover letter, kind of. So after cover letter, I put in my CV and what I'm interested to do. So for like a month, I didn't hear anything. So I contacted other schools as well in India. I contacted other schools. So some supervisors say, oh, their labs are all filled up. Some will say, no, they don't have that expertise, this and that. So after 1 month, I got a reply from the director. So the director copied another person in the institute, and a faculty in the institute, copied and said, okay, this person is interested in this, so I know you are interested, you have expertise in this area of stroke and all that. So that was where I started conversing with the PI from the institute. In the name of the person is Dr. Rima Velayuda. She's retired now. So we started communicating. I sent her my proposal. She read it. She made corrections. She agreed. She sent me the letter. I applied. After my application, waited for 6 months for the feedback. And after 6 months, I got a reply that I've been chosen for the fellowship, TWAS fellowship. So that was how I came to India for 1.5 years, did research in NBRC, and then after my research, I went back to Nigeria to defend my thesis. Yeah.
So how was the difference between work back in your lab in Nigeria versus work in India? Did the change help you with your PhD?
Yeah, so the lab culture is quite different. The lab culture in Nigeria and the lab culture in India, it's very different. The institute I went to, they are very, very friendly, very welcoming, accommodating. I so much enjoyed myself. back in Nigeria, you know, when it's your birthday, you don't get this feel that it's your birthday in the lab. So it's like your birthday is just like a normal day. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about whether you're celebrating your birthday or probably you have something going on. So, but there in the lab I went to, you know, everybody's birthday is on the wall, on the notice board. So when it's your turn for birthday, you get a cake and people get to celebrate you, you know, you go out and all that. So the culture is different. It's very, very different. So in Nigeria, it's come to do what you want to do, then go home. You don't have business with, I mean, you have friends, but you know, you have friends in the lab you interact with, but when it comes to like this collective, you know, celebrating and all that, even when you publish a paper, you know, you go out in India, you celebrate, or you publish a paper. In Nigeria, nobody cares. You publish a paper, oh, thank God you publish your paper. So there is nothing like celebration there. So the culture is very different, and I like the culture of the celebrating kind of culture that the lab that I went to in India does. So it's made my eyes to open to so many things that is going on in the world. You know, while I was back in my country, I couldn't, you know, read papers that are published in Nature.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but when I went to India, so I interacted with my supervisor and all that. So I started reading Nature paper, and it's quite different from all these small impact factor journal paper. They write their papers and all that. So it opened my understanding, and it opened my my perspective as to different kind of things that you as a researcher can do and or achieve. So it was from there I started learning, okay, oh, if I want to do my postdoc, I have to do this. If I want to do my postdoc, I have to do that and all that. So it opened my eyes to see so many things that I could not even imagine before. So the culture is different. So yeah.
That's a great learning experience, I would say. I'm really happy that you had that kind of an experience. So I would guess that is how you decided to navigate to the US for your postdoc, right? How did that happen? Like how did you defend and then find a position in the US?
So before, like I said, the lab I went to opened my eyes to see different perspective about you being a researcher and you know, being a faculty and what the culture is from other country. So even before people in the same lab that I was, mm-hmm. before they finished their PhD, before they defended their thesis, they already get a position in the US or probably in another developed country, mm-hmm. you know, for their postdoc. So I was like curious that, wow, how do these people do it? How do I do it? And all that. So I have this friend who is also in WashU presently. You may know her, Reshma.
Okay.
So, so when I got back to Nigeria, and you know, before I got back to Nigeria, during the last phase of my research, she helped me with some of the experiment. So she got the position then. When she wanted to defend her thesis, she was waiting for the date to defend her thesis. So she already got a position. I said, so I asked her that how does she do it and all that. So she said, okay, that we'll talk. So I got back to Nigeria, defended my thesis. So I contacted her. Oh, how did you like get the position and all that? She she put me through that. Oh, you have to apply this. You have to, you know, go to the lab website, or probably you see an advert. Or this and that. So she put me through, and she gave me some materials that I need to, you know, go through some of the things that she used. So I started, you know, writing different PIs in the US, in Europe. I joined this organization, the FENS, which is the Federation of European Neuroscience, mm-hmm. and neuroscience. Mm-hmm. So I joined Neuroscience Society, Federation of European Neuroscience Society, yeah, FENS. So I joined the organization. Then there is this corner where they post job adverts, you know, for a postdoc. So almost every 2 days, I go there, you know, look at some of the some of the research that tallies with my research interest. So I wanted to continue working on brain. I don't want to stop working on brain. So that is what I wanted to do. And my interest was either go to neurodegenerative disease or, continue with the stroke, which is the neurological disease area. But I don't want to do anything on medicinal plants anymore. So I want like go deep inside, molecularly and all that. So I started, writing different PIs about the opportunity in their lab, and if I could come, different. I got invitation for different interviews and all that. So on and on, I got rejected. I got reject messages and all that. So that was a time. So I got to know about the lab I am presently. I got to know about the lab. So when I saw the advert. So, but I didn't read the advert in full. So this person needed a postdoc, so let me apply. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I applied, and then for like a month, I didn't get a feedback. So after a month, I got a feedback. So my mentor now told me, oh, am I still interested? My message got into the spam of our email. That was why she could not respond quickly. So I said, oh, I'm still interested. Now I said, okay, I should check again that what the requirements and what they do in the lab is. So I went to an answer that it's purely computation. It's called purely computational biology.
Okay.
So no experimental. And for me, I don't have any computational experiments. I don't even know how to code. I can't even write a line of code. I can't write a line of code, and I don't have it. Everything I've been doing since my undergrad was purely experimental, lab, all that. So I checked again. So I said, oh, this is a computational one. So I found that I did further research, and I found out that this is the next level now. Like, this is the next thing. This is the next big thing. You don't have to sit in the lab, pipetting and all that. You can just sit in your home, probably on the computer, and start, analyzing and getting answers to some of the questions, scientific questions that you have. So it was a thing that I so much love that, and I said, okay, let me challenge myself. I love this area since, all the single cell, RNA-seq, all this sequencing, that is the next big thing. So I told myself, I'm not going to be left out. So let me do this. So I so much, it's now piqued my interest. Like, oh, let me do this. Let me go this. Now I have the experimental experience. Let me do the computational experience so that when I become a PI, I've been able to merge the experimental and the computational together, which will give me an advantage, right? Yeah. So that was why I got back to her and did interview and
so you transitioned from a wet lab researcher to a computational researcher now.
Yeah, so I transitioned from a wet lab to a dry lab.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. Very few people can do that. I mean, congratulations on that. I don't believe I can do that.
And my peer has been very, very encouraging. She understood that before I got here, I told her I don't have a computational experience. I don't know how to code. I don't know this. But she said, oh, you can do it. That she also narrated her experience too, that she also finished her PhD as an experimental person she did a wet lab. It was during her postdoc, she transitioned into a dry lab, and she's doing very, very well for herself. So I thought, oh yeah, I got this encouragement, and then since then I can boldly say I have gone from not having experience on how to write a code to at least I can write some codes now.
Great. All right. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the Black Postdoc Association that you are a part of here at WashU. like, what do you guys do? How is representation important for a Black postdoc, or even your community to be in the research field or in the STEM field?
Yeah, so the Black Postdoc is an organization that helps Blacks that are doing their postdoc in WashU who probably who probably needs help for at a certain stage, probably to incorporate themselves into the society.
Yeah.
Or those that feels probably, when you go to WashU, you don't see many Black as a postdoc, so you may kind of feel left out in things that have been done. So we help, and then there are mentors that we can introduce to ourselves, and then socially we also help ourselves. Go out socially, mingle out. We can talk to anybody, any challenge. In the midst of us, you can, any challenge that you're undergoing, people that are not of your skin type, that probably they may not understand. So, but then they can understand, and then, we encourage each other, and then we challenge each other as well in our experiments and in our projects that we are doing. Then we give out also. If there are fundings that needs to be applied for, so we challenge ourselves. Oh, you have to apply for this funding and all that. So it's a society, like a family, that you can blend in. When you see your people that are of your same color, of your same skin type, you feel like more relaxed. Yeah. So we help each other, socially, career-wise, in different way possible. Yeah.
Right. That's some amazing work you guys are doing. I mean, that is really commendable. All right. So now we are going to move on to our interesting rapid fire round that we have added in this season. So I'll ask you questions and you will have to give me rapid answers. Okay, let's see. Let's see how you do. Okay. First question. What word or term best describes your research philosophy?
Diligence. Go for it. Anything you want to do, you can do it.
Okay.
Don't
go for it.
Don't think twice. Just go for it. Anything you want to, everything you put your mind into, you can do it. You can achieve it. So yeah.
That's inspiring.
That has been my experience, and I transitioned from a wet to a dry. So anything you want to do, go for it. Don't let anything hold you back, and put your mind into it, and you will achieve it. Yeah.
That's really inspiring. Second question. What are the So a little background to this. You have a family. You're married. You have a kid. So how do you manage? This question is about work-life balance. What do you think are the major pillars of maintaining a work-life balance?
Yeah, so the first thing is you have to have time for your family. It's very, very important. Before we came to the US, I was lagging behind having time for my family, especially my daughter, to have, father and daughter relationship. Sometimes when I travel and come back, she doesn't recognize me and all that. So I have to tell myself, like, you have to have time for your family. That is the first thing, because if you don't have time for family, if you go to work, it can affect your work. So you have to have time for your family, and then your work life, you have to also have time for it. You have to dedicate time. Like, you have to balance the two. You have to have time for when to read papers, if it is 2 or 3 hours that you want to read papers, then you do your experiments, time that is there. Then your family, the time has to be there. When it's in the night, that's my family time. I can, it's a computational thing. You can, anytime you can go to the corner and start, your this thing. Yeah, but at the same time, I make sure that I have time for my daughter and my wife. So it's very important to me. They are dear to me. They are the only people that I have as family, that I call family, blood here in the United States. So I have to take care of them. It's very, very important. My success is their success. Yeah.
Very sweet. So yeah, so which means time and compartmentalization and organization is all you work on. That's great. If you had to do it all over again, would you do a PhD again in your home country or in a foreign country, which is a developed?
There is no two ways. I'm going to do it in a foreign country. That has funding, yeah.
Okay. What is it that you miss about your PhD?
What I miss about my PhD, I can say what I miss about my PhD are my close friends.
Okay.
My close friends from other fields, like they are not doing neuroscience work.
Yes.
So that's the most thing I miss about them. Sharing updates of their work.
Yeah.
Like things that I don't have understanding.
Yes.
Things that I have little understanding of. So that's one of those things I miss about PhD. Sharing their own work and then sharing what they discovered or what they are going through. Yeah.
I know what you mean. I can relate with it. Your last question. What is it that you appreciate the most about your current lab?
Yeah, so many things. I appreciate my current lab. So many things. One is the encouragement. When in my current lab, the encouragement is so massive. From the PI to your fellow lab mates, the encouragement is there. Everybody is rooting for you. Go for it. Do this. You can do it. That's first. And then the second thing is the scientific development. The rate at which I am developing in this lab is so much that I myself did not believe it. The development is so there. I mean, it's everybody in the lab. If probably you want to do this and you don't have the experience to do it, the resources are there that it will encourage you to do it, and then you develop yourself. Then at the end of the day, you say, oh, I have gained an expertise. Like I have gained another experience in this particular place. So the encouragement, the scientific development, and also friendship, help, people there helped a lot. Like I wanted to get my driver's license, I don't have car. So it's from the lab, someone volunteered to give me a car, for my driver's license. So the help is there anytime they are ready to help you. And then, like I said, development too, conferences. I'm like barely 1 year, 4 months, I've gone to like 3 conferences. So the development is there, the encouragement, the PI is so, I don't know how to describe her. She lets you develop at your own pace, like no rush. If you don't understand it, no rush. She'll tell you no rush. This is how she will, give. I mean, she's going to show you the way, and she has been very, very supportive to my development, and again she challenged me to apply for a grant, and I applied and I got a grant. So so she has been very, very supportive. So things that I've learned are so much. I mean, the lab has contributed a lot to me. Yeah.
Okay, that's really great. It's amazing that you are having this kind of really nice experience, a wholesome experience over here. All right. Do you have any final words for our audience?
Yeah. I would just say, like I said before, anything that you put your mind into, go for it, do it. I mean, anything you want to do it. Set your mind on it, and you can achieve it. People that have gone ahead of you, there are challenges they face on the way as well. So it's the ability to, I mean, the resolve that they have, they were able to face their challenges and they overcome it. So anything that you want to do, put your mind into it, and believe it, you are going to overcome it. So yeah.
That's very inspiring. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ibrahim. I had a really good time, and thank you so much for all your input. It has been great to know your journey from Nigeria to the US, and I'm really happy that you're doing so well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you too. Yeah.
All right. If you can just exit the call. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope you had a great time listening to Ibrahim. We will come back with another interesting guest pretty soon. Till then, stay tuned.